Live from the KFDM studios, you're watching KFDM 6 News tonight at 10.
Good evening, I'm Aaron Drawhorn.
And I'm Tiffany Murphy. Breaking at this hour, the Bridge City Police Chief offering his most extensive explanation of his department's handling of a death investigation that's not resolved nearly a year after it happened.
That tragedy not only broke a community's heart, but some citizens claim it's damaged the police department's credibility. KFDM's Angel San Juan in studio now with a special report and a widow's pursuit for justice. Angel.
Mandy Jackson's world changed forever on June 13th of last year when her husband became the victim of a hit and run. That same day, just minutes later and less than 5 miles away, a second family lost a loved one. Mandy and many others in Bridge City have long said the same driver killed both victims, and tonight the police chief is not denying that and explaining why the suspect right now is only charged with one death. After 10 years of marriage, all that Mandy Jackson has of her husband Robert are photos and memories of a man she says was devoted to her and to their 3 sons.
More than anything, he loved our boys. His favorite thing was cooking in the kitchen and playing music loud and them all dancing and screaming, and he loved more than anything watching them play baseball. But that all came to a violent end on June 13th, 2020, when a driver struck and killed Robert Jackson at this spot on Ferry Drive in Bridge City. My husband was hit so hard that he was decapitated. This spot is where he was hit, where the contact was made. But that black line over there is actually where his body was found. The driver did not stop. What's worse is what happened after, because unfortunately he was hit and he was left to die alone. Jackson would not be the only victim that night. Just 4.5 miles from where he was killed and only minutes later, the driver of a Ford F-150 pickup, Jared Lee Watkins, crashed into a car driven by Jillian Blanchard, causing her death. Mandy says Watkins is also responsible for the hit and run that claimed her husband's life and blames Bridge City Police for what she calls botching the investigation from the start. And Bridge City's initial report stated that Jillian swerved into Jared's lane and hit him to cause the accident. They got that information because they asked Jared, but they couldn't ask Jillian. And so that's when they should have right away said, you know what, we're going to arrest this guy for driving while intoxicated and we're going to do a proper investigation. But they didn't. They blamed her, and that's what they released to the media. But Jillian's parents weren't buying it and pushed for the truth. Thank God Jillian's parents loved her and were like, absolutely not, and we're going to make sure she gets justice. And an accident recreation was done that showed Jared Watkins was 100% at fault. BCPD, do your job! 2 months later, no charges and no arrests. The lack of action causing outrage in the community. Justice for Jillian and Robert! Jillian and Robert! Prompting the family and friends of both Jillian and Robert to hold this demonstration outside the Bridge City Police Station. The public pressure and protests produced one result. An Orange County grand jury indicted Watkins on a charge of intoxication manslaughter in connection with Jillian's death, but no indictment in Robert's case. We make mistakes every day, but what really defines us is what we do after those mistakes. And a mistake was made. You know, he was drunk and he hit Robert and he killed him. The mistake is what has happened every day after. Every single day since June 13th, he's gone home to his mom and dad. He's gone to work, he's gone to school, he's gone to the lake drinking with his buddies. And every day I've gone home to an empty bed. And my kids have looked in the bleachers and their dad hasn't been there. Watkins is out on a $100,000 bond. His attorney, Ryan Gertz, told us the case remains under investigation and it's too early for them to make any comment. But Mandy says she is still waiting for answers from Bridge City Police. I won't stop. And I hope that anybody that's watching this that hears that there's a victim there. There's a family behind that victim that hasn't even gotten close to any justice. or even a valuable answer on why we haven't gotten justice yet.
We reached out to Chief Paul Davis for this report, and he gave his most extensive response yet to these tragedies, acknowledging the deaths of Robert and Jillian have shocked and outraged the community, and that given the grievous nature of the crimes, Chief Davis says they must be investigated thoroughly and as carefully as they would any murder under the laws of Texas. Chief Davis says in both cases, the same vehicle, a Ford F-150, was driven by Watkins. He says Watkins was immediately identified as the driver of the pickup in Jillian's fatality because he was still in the truck when officers arrived. Davis says what investigators did not learn until later was that the same pickup was potentially involved in the crash that killed Robert. Davis goes on to say, quote, preliminary evidence collected by investigators at the scene of Mr. Jackson's death indicated that the truck involved in that accident was a possible match to the F-150 located at the Blanchard crash site. Forensic testing is currently being conducted by the Texas Department of Public Safety crime laboratories in Houston and Austin to confirm that Jared Watkins' truck was the same vehicle that struck and killed Mr. Jackson. Once all testing is completed, we anticipate that additional charges will be filed against Jared Watkins for the death of Robert Jackson.
He thought he would get away with it, and that's why I'm here. I'm here hoping that I can do whatever I can to make sure he doesn't get away with it.
We posted Chief Davis's entire statement on our website, kfdm.com. We also talked to Orange County District Attorney John Kimbrough, who told us once Bridge City Police deliver the case on Robert's death to his office, he'll take it to a grand jury. Kimbrough also told us both cases would be tried separately. On a related note, an attorney representing Jillian's parents has filed a civil lawsuit linked to her death. They are suing Watkins and Dylan's Bar and Grill in Port Arthur. The suit claims Watkins was continually served alcohol while he was, quote, obviously intoxicated, and says Watkins was allowed to leave in a highly impaired condition. We'll continue to keep you updated on any developments surrounding the tragic deaths of Robert Jackson and Jillian Blanchard. Guys.
Thanks, Angel.